contact the sheriff's department, get his address, and I told him, I'm coming for you if you don't delete this account. Sure enough, he finally deleted it.
As far as
All right.
when the breaks are coming.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Any questions?
No questions.
Let's have
We're
a good show.
Have a good show.
there. We
Are you gonna bring him in immediately?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Okay.
We're gonna
Yeah.
chitter chatter.
Largest
little
attended
bit.
MLS
I'm gonna keep his volume off until you bring him
at
in.
Rose Bowl saw 82,000 people attend, nearly 10,000 more than Charlotte drew for their largest crowd. Charlotte FC also played last night, but they ended up in a 1-1 draw versus
Can he hear me?
NYC FC. Also,
Yes.
PGA Tour from the
Donnie, what's your phone number?
Hey, we've got 3 listeners on Facebook.
704
I think that
747-0340.
Okay, I'm texting you the link to the page now.
Lights are going off.
With a high near 90. Tomorrow night, a chance of showers. Mostly cloudy with a low around 70. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well,
Weird.
welcome.
It's a weird time. I don't quite know what to do. It's
Well,
afternoon.
I don't want to go to sleep.
It's time to take a nap. It's my normal nap time.
I'm wide awake. Yeah.
My normal nap time.
You know, I gotta say, you're the first battle buddy I've had that I've been fired twice and promoted twice all at the same
I
time.
know. For those that don't know, this is Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Home. We were on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. and now we're on Thursdays at 3 p.m. We started out on Thursdays at 8 a.m. and
They just
then
don't
got
know where to put us.
fired, and then and then we got moved to Tuesdays, and now we're moved to Thursdays, and evidently Sean Hannity used to be on during this time, and
He needed to be replaced.
he got bumped for us. I mean, I'm not sure what we're saying.
Outdated. Veterans are taking over the world.
Is
We're
that
just
what
we're
it is?
taking it all over.
Is that
We're
what it
we're
is?
we're storming the radio and just taking over.
All right, well, here we go.
Be careful. I'm sure he'll have his lawyers calling us, wanting to know when he can get his time slot back.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
Yeah.
probably the first
There's
thing
some
on his mind today.
conspiracy theory now already brewing about why we took over and how it's the
Who
left
did they
wing's
pay
fault.
off?
And
They paid somebody off.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. He's lambashing us right now.
Well, we are. We're really glad to be here. We have all of 3 viewers on Facebook, so we're keeping true with our motto: driving listeners away one person at a time. So
I think we're all 3 in the studio.
I think we are. All of us are here.
So what are y'all saying? Because I'm not watching, or something? I'm doing something wrong.
No,
I always seem to be behind.
yeah, I don't know. So-
Well, we have got an exciting show lined up for everybody today, and Purple Heart Homes provides housing solutions for service-connected disabled veterans, and we've got a great veteran on the show today, Representative Donnie Loftus, 30-year veteran. In fact, I was just talking with him a few minutes ago, and he said he served for 30 years, 5 months, 11 days, 14 hours, and 13 minutes, and I was like, man, that's somebody that was not tracking at all.
No, not at all. I wasn't waiting. I can identify with that, though.
You can. Now you're
I
tracking.
can.
You're counting down.
I'm counting down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have drill this weekend, and I have 2 more after that, and then I'm going to tell my friends at the Army to kick rocks.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
You know, it's funny. I made Matt Stevenson kick rocks one time.
Actually kick rocks.
Actually, physically,
he was so
actually
mad.
got
He was-
so mad at me.
Yeah.
We were on our
that
way
was
out of
today?
Iraq. No, it wasn't today. We were on our way out of Iraq. The Connex had been inspected by customs, had its lock put on it, its tag put on it.
I remember this
We
story.
were on our way getting ready to go do a route clearance, and we needed the mine detector that was locked up in the Connex. And so we cut the lock to get the mine detector out.
Yeah. And then
And
Matt,
there were no more locks on the base.
anywhere.
Anywhere on our base. And
What'd y'all
Matt
do?
was so
Zip tie
upset.
after that?
They had to go down to the kind of the central fob there at Fob Spiker, forward operating base,
I know.
and pick up another lock. And I had to get customs to okay them to just lock it and ship it like it was
Holy
without
crap.
inspecting it.
Holy
To
crap.
say he was mad was an understatement, but he literally walked away kicking rocks. Like, well, at least he didn't kicking me.
Kicking Gallina.
So enough about me. Let's get to Representative Donnie Loftus. Not only has he served for 30 years in the military and got a great service record, and looking forward to learning more about that on the show, but he is also one of our North Carolina state representatives and is co-chair of the Veteran and Military Affairs subcommittee, which I had the honor of being able to go and speak with here a few weeks ago, and really excited for all that he's doing and the great work that he's doing for our veterans all across the state. And so welcome to the show, Donnie.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you today.
Awesome. Hey, tell us a little bit about why, where you came from and how in the world did you get into the military line of things, and a little bit about that background story.
Well, I'm a twin brother. I have a twin brother and I have an older brother, and we were all preachers' kids. So we were perfect angels.
Of course, rambunctious.
So grew up in the preacher's home. So giving back to our community and touching those in our community was always part of what we did. When I was in Morganton during the 60s, my older brother got married, and he received his Welcome to the Draft Notice Award.
Mm-hmm.
He went off to combat in Vietnam for several months, and he was a ranger from the 173rd Division as part of fighting force in Vietnam. And I always loved his spit shine boots. He came home from Fort Bragg. We had another member in our church who was a special forces, E6, E7 type. And I was very influenced at a very young age to participate in military service. Matter of fact, when I was in the first grade, my parents bought me a Army uniform for me, my size, that had the old service cap and everything. So I started out being a military person.
That's awesome.
Very early in life.
That is fantastic. And what did you join into? Tell us what branch and what did you join up to do? What kind of work?
Well, I was still eligible for the draft in 72 when they finally stopped drafting people. And, I thought, wow, I missed my opportunity. For some, that was a good thing. But I always wanted to do some part of that. So in 1978, got married. This year will be year number 45 with my wife, Dina,
Awesome.
who is also my legislative assistant in Raleigh. So in 1980, 79, 80, I was working in a plant or a building that we rebuilt tractor trailer rigs, the trailers that go down the road. And one of the guys that I worked with, he was a member of the Guard. And, it was travel the world, get to see places, kill people only on weekends. And so it sounded exciting. I could learn a job skill, and it allowed me to do both my civilian duties and then a weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year, I could actually go do Army training. So I joined up in 1980 in January, went to Fort Lost in the Woods, or Fort Leonard Wood as it was known, as a combat engineer. And back then I was in the maintenance side. So I could heal stuff, equipment that wasn't running well or wasn't operating well. I earlied out or tested out of my advanced individual training and had to become the squad leader for everybody else going. So I started my career in the maintenance side, and eventually I got the opportunity to move over to the carpentry masonry side. And for those that may not know, combat engineers is a job skill that you can actually do on the outside world. where you don't see many openings for infantrymen, field artillerymen.
Hey! Wait a minute. We can still blow stuff up out here. Oh, wait a minute. They're not really job openings for that.
Yeah, that's true.
So just for a point of clarity here, we're getting ready to come to our first break. For our listeners that have been following us on our Tuesday show, we've got a slight format change. But Donnie, what unit was that you joined into? What do they call that? What's the brigade that was called?
30th Engineer Brigade.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure we're calling out that we got somebody from the Dirty 30 here. Yeah.
It never ends.
It does. We are a
Never.
never-ending line of service, of awesome service. Let me just say that, of just absolute awesome service.
Well,
A legend in your own mind.
if I remember,
Well, maybe
your
in some
patch
others,
in
too.
The Dirty 30 looked more like tennis rackets or a
That's
tennis
right. Thank you. Thank you.
And at least our patch was a castle that had 3 X's underneath it representing 30th, or it was the triple X rated.
That's
So
right.
that
That's
was the
right.
difference between your patch and mine.
Well, you are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, and we'll be right back after this break.
Stay up to date with the latest in your community, state, and nation. WSIC.
And live. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, we're staying
All
live on Facebook?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
every shows don't have Facebook breaks right now.
yeah, Donnie. I know. I love the patch piece that you brought up there. You're absolutely right. But anytime I can rag Brad a little bit about somebody from the 30th, your family, as far as I'm concerned here. You want to call it an uncle, a brother, a dad? I don't care. You're a part of the 30th, and if it means that we can rattle Brad up a little
John
bit.
has rewritten history that the 30th Brigade was involved in the Battle of Hastings in 1066.
We were,
and
yeah.
defeated the Moors to stop the overthrow of Europe.
we trained Napoleon.
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he lost. Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
And we trained the Moldovians recently, and I mean, yeah. So that's true. That's really truthful. Yeah. They're the if you remember the show where Christina Moore was on the show with us.
Yeah.
Talked about I think we talked about that then. They have the partnership with the Nation Partnership. And so North Carolina, that's a part of what North Carolina legislation and the National Guard Bureau has set up. How many of those are there, Donnie?
As far as different groups,
Yeah, how many
I
states
just know
do
the
that?
That's been on for over 20 years that I remember.
Yeah. And I heard there was some conversation going on about picking up another nation-state partner somewhere out of Africa. I don't know who it is, but
No, I think
We do have well drillers in Africa. So we've been doing that for at least 10 years, where we've seen groups to dig. And as a matter of fact, it is close to Somalia, up in that northeastern corner of Africa.
And when we say
Christina
well
Moore is
diggers,
going over there.
we're talking about water wells, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
Christina's
I didn't think we were striking gold like Beverly Hills style out there in Africa. Just making sure.
he is a Marine,
It's in
Donnie.
Djibouti.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's in
Djibouti.
Djibouti, yeah.
Did you say it's in Djibouti?
Yeah,
It's in Djibouti.
it's in Djibouti.
Say that out loud.
We are on Facebook. Let's just be mindful.
You can do that on Facebook.
Yeah, we can do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
We do not want to get fired again.
No.
Justin's
gonna
counting
happen.
on us. This
It's
is
gonna
the
happen.
prime time hour. Let's not ruin it.
20 seconds.
All right.
Best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Check out WSIC's new website at WSICnews.com.
Whatever the story,
We have to end our dependence on China.
have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Hi, this is Richard with WSIC News. Check us out on social media. Follow, like, and subscribe to our pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're even on True Social. Just hit that search menu, WSIC News. You'll find us.
All right, we are back live. I'm not sure where the intro music went, but
I was singing it in my head.
Yeah, I was singing it in my head too.
Yeah.
Hey, you know,
back.
new program, new day. We're working it out.
Yeah, that's all
If you
good.
like,
yeah.
I can start humming it.
Please don't, Devin. Please don't.
Devin can do that Marine song that they sing all the time. The one that Gomer Pyle sang.
Yeah.
So.
You know, we do have a special guest in here. We failed to call out. Let's.
This is true. Devin failed to call her out.
Yeah, he did. Devin, would you like to introduce?
Well, I wasn't introduced, so it's not my time. I didn't.
No, well, you're at the bottom of the hour, but we got to fill in for Miss Giggles today.
So my lovely wife Amber has decided to join us today in the laugh gallery.
That's right.
Even though we have new ownership, we still can't afford a laugh track, so we have to bring in
an actual laugh.
Well, let's just be clear, as Justin's in the studio with us right now and listening. It's not that he can't afford the laugh button; we can't afford the laugh button.
That's correct.
We can't afford to pay Joe to push the laugh button.
Our sponsors have not purchased the laugh button for us, but we're open.
So if you'd like to sponsor, so we're gonna have a laugh button, feel free to let us know, and we'll make it work for you. We will work for you. We are here to serve you and laugh at your leisure.
Yeah, and perhaps if you want to sign up to be an actual human laugher and come into the studio and just laugh, that would be helpful as well.
We could do that. We can make a program.
Yeah, just to have a line of people outside going, "We're here to laugh."
Take a number.
All right. So let's get back to our guest. Boy, the show's going by fast already, and to think we got 3 breaks today in the show. So, Donnie, you're telling us a little bit about your time in the 505th Engineers, how you came to be in the service, and tell us a little bit about some of your experience you deployed while you were in the engineering unit. Where did you deploy to, and tell us about that.
Opportunity to travel, see the world. I got a chance to go to Panama, Honduras, Ecuador, Italy, Germany, Iraq, Kuwait. So I got to see a large portion of the world, and we did projects mostly all over the world, engineer projects, roads, airfields. Most rewarding was the opportunity to actually go do your mission in Iraq that you trained for. A lot of times companies or battalions who would deploy, they would change their MOS duties, and now they become fuel tanker operators or patrol operators up and down Route Tampa. But we actually got to go do the 3 Bs, and that's build it, bulldoze it, or blow it up. So we built police stations, we built T-wall barriers, we did runways, we did new police station parking lots. And we did several opportunities to blow stuff to smithereens in a part of our project mission. So it was very unique. I deployed as a company first sergeant. We had well over 230 soldiers, guys and girls, and every person in my unit got a chance to go outside the wire. And that was important. My commander and we said we wanted all of our soldiers fully trained and everybody to get that opportunity to make sure the risk factor was spread across the unit itself. So that was a great opportunity deployed in 05, 06. That was the height of IED explosion during that time. You mentioned Cobb Spiker earlier. That was our second base we deployed to, was from LSA Anaconda in Balad. And then we built the entrance where ISIS came through in Sinjar. We built the entrance to that gate all the way out there. We had units all the way up in Mosul and almost about 15 miles from the Iranian border. So that was a very big area of opportunity or area of operations that we worked in.
That's great. Did y'all handle the ordnance depot where they would explode the enemy captured ordnance? Is that a part of what y'all did in y'all's mission?
No, we did a lot of that on site, on the ground, on location. In one of our missions up next to Baji, we had the opportunity to participate in a D9 dozer mission, and the Baji compound was being mortared constantly by civilians or Iraqis who were trying to kill Americans. And so we deployed almost every dozer asset that we had along with other dozers across northern Iraq. And we built a berm around the entire city and cut
I remember
one
that.
way in, one way out. And we cleared that whole town with the 187th Rocketsons from the 101st Airborne, and they never got mortared again. But it was a varied list of tasks that we were able to participate in.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, in your time of service, was there a particular funny story that you remember while you were in? Anything that stands out?
Well, a lot of times you remember all the aggravating or the hard parts, but we had quite a few stories at different training sites. I know in Camp Laguna, California, we were doing a border wall and trying to narrow down the drug cartel, putting up steel runway panels. And so my guys in our maintenance section and girls, we had a Saturday off where we went to a state park. And so these guys, all of a sudden I hear something, and they have pushed a big old round rock off the ledge up there, and it is just rolling down the side of the mountain. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. And then another opportunity we had when we were in Italy, we had a chance to go see Rome. And so being very conservative and frugal, better known as cheap, we decided we would not take the VIP tours on the bus. We decided to walk, and we toured just about every place in Rome. By the time we finished that evening, everybody had blisters on their feet, but they had more pictures than anybody else, and they had a great time. That's the thing about the military. When you're traveling together as a group, it brings a bond together, but you have so much fun that a lifetime of friends, a lifetime of getting together is a very important part.
Yeah. I was wondering, going and doing all the things that you've done, specifically serving in combat and harm's way and all of that, and the young soldiers that you worked with. We all know, and part of what, a lot of what we deal with at Purple Heart Homes is transition issues with veterans who have struggled with not only the physical injuries that they've sustained in their time of service, but the mental health issues. And were there some challenges that you personally faced coming back?
Well, I would say one of the things that was very difficult for me as a senior enlisted person, we had sent a group of dozers on this mission up to Baji. Not long after they made it out of our area, that they were on Route Tampa, which is like the I-85 or I-95 corridor. They were hit by an IED. And remember, combat engineers, when you're moving dozers and motor graders and heavy equipment, you become a huge target. And so one of them got hit by an IED. And my soldiers were texting me through our military channels that, we needed to come back and regroup before we tried to proceed. And the mission was so critical, so important that, I told them, I said, coming back is not an option. We have to secure the area, and we have to proceed with the other dozers to complete the mission because lives are at risk. And that's tough for me to tell my soldiers to continue on in a combat environment. And it was very anxious then. Mm-hmm. Some of the other times is when we put up what they call a computer house, where soldiers would have instant access to their loved ones back home. Everybody had a camera that they would plug into the computer, and instantaneously they would know their bank account was wiped out by their significant other, or their spouse is now having an affair with someone else, or that DSS in one case had picked up their kids because they were roaming the side of the road. And now I have soldiers who are combat assets that when they find out they're having affairs, their significant other is not being faithful to them, they are very much, they're angered. And they want to kill somebody. And in a combat environment, we had 210 rounds. Everybody had an M4 or M16, or they had a pistol. Mm-hmm. So it was very stressful to soldiers. In LSA Anaconda, about 65 miles north of Baghdad, we were on a base that had about 25,000 people there. It was almost like being at Fort Bragg.
Mhm.
However, it was being mortared by Iraqis that put tubes in the back of Toyota pickups or a drive-by pickup and just indiscriminately would drop one in a tube. So they called it Mortaritaville. So every day you were likely to be ambushed or at least mortared by somebody in 24/7, whether you were on the road or whether you were behind the wire trying to get some rest. So it's a constant 24/7 that you're under a stressful environment.
Yeah.
And then coming back home, a lot of my soldiers, once you're out of that combat environment, I learned a long time ago, I was told a happy soldier is always a complaining soldier.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
we served with some of the happiest soldiers in the world.
Yeah.
And when they got back home, they didn't have that challenge of being in a combat environment 24/7.
Yep.
They didn't have that, let's go on another mission. There was nothing to fill the void, the excitement, the adrenaline.
Donnie, I'm gonna have to
challenge.
interrupt you here for 1 second, and this is a great place for us to stop. Great stories, but you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We'll be right back after this break.
Local news and weather now.
Still there.
All right, Donnie. Yeah, we're just gonna put a pin in that for 1 second. Boy, the clock goes by so fast. I'm not sure if you see. Yeah, it is a little different for us as well, as we're making some modifications as we're moving to the new drive time hour for the show. We'll have one more break at 3:45, and when we come back, we will hear from Devil Dog Devin about our project of the week, and we'll have some fun and some shenanigans with him for just a moment, and then we'll get back to your story about your deployment, and then we'll start to move our way into what the work that you're doing now as a state legislator.
Okay. Cool. Well, anytime, just feel free to butt in and cut me off. I have a tendency to just.
You're doing great. I love the stories and can just listen for hours. It brings back a flood of memories, but certainly, makes me, as a veteran, realize that, I'm not alone, and I hope our listening audience hears the same, that I think that's so important that veterans know that they're not alone. Other people can understand and relate. And it's great for folks that are the civilian population that's listening to be able to hear and have some understanding where they can relate as well. And they can kind of understand some of what our veterans go through. And that was really a great point, and I don't want to lose that opportunity to hear more when we come back, because I think there is something to be said about what you miss when you return home. There's something familiar about a year worth of work, and suddenly you come back and now you're doing something completely different.
Talk.
Or you feel,
now.
Where's my weapon?
All right, you are back live with us here in the WSIC News Studio with Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. And it is now time for Devil Dog Devin and Project of the Week.
Yeah, before that, though, I have a confession to make. I was snooping around the parking lot today.
Oh, gosh.
And Devin actually had to give me a ride over here because Tammy was doing some things at work, and his windows were open, and I looked in his car, and on the floorboard of his vehicle was a pack of crayons. And so we had thought that he had gone to treatment for his eating of crayons, and he was addicted, and he admitted to it, and he was like digging through drawers. And Amber, I'm glad you're here because, the real key to recovery is admission of the problem. And now it has been exposed. He's got crayons in his vehicle.
And so here, live on the air, collectively, we are going to confront the issue head on.
This is an intervention. Yes,
I
right.
wish that I could say this isn't true.
Yeah, it is completely
We have
true.
video evidence.
Video evidence.
I'm
That's
also
right.
affectionately known as the Crown Eater's wife, so
Yes, this is
And
true.
as I understand, there are videos like live with y'all in counseling over crayon eating and him hiding
It's just-
crayons
it's just
in the
horrifying.
house.
all over
It's
the house.
absolutely
yes.
horrifying.
Yeah, you can see those on TikTok at Devil Dog.
DevilDogDevin.com.
DevilDogDevin. Or you can find them on Purple Heart Homes YouTube page, which if you're not following, why?
Yeah, hit that subscribe button and that little bell icon.
Yeah, you can catch it all right there. No need for the Chinese to steal your information.
I'm just curious, Amber. After you married Devin, did you realize that you needed to buy stock in whipped cream and Cool Whip so that he could have it with his crayons?
That's a delicacy for him for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Don't we have a project to talk about or something?
We do. Let's hear all about it there.
Oh gosh. Well, this week's project comes from Connecticut. Did y'all know we were in Connecticut?
I did a project there about 12 years ago.
Yeah. So we've been. A lot of folks think that we're mainly in the southeast, but we're all over the U.S. 46 states and Puerto Rico. So. Habitat and Humanity, the Greater Springfield Habitat of Connecticut reached out to us because they had a veteran up there that they've been assisting for some time, and this veteran is in a Habitat house. But as we all do when we age, we don't need the same accommodations as we did when we were younger, and this veteran, all the bedrooms and the bathrooms were on the upstairs of the home, and they just needed some assistance with bringing this veteran a new bedroom and an ADA bathroom that he could access in his home and get into safely. And that's one of the things that we do every day at Purple Heart Homes is we don't just help the veterans individually when they apply, but other organizations reach out to us all the time because we're always stronger together, and that's one of those things we're so grateful to be able to partner with Habitat of Humanity in the Greater Springfield area in Connecticut to help this Marine who
does he have a crayon problem too?
I haven't had an opportunity to speak with him, but I think maybe that might not be a problem
you guys
that all Marines share.
Yeah, and that's a thing that maybe you guys could commiserate with on together. So your love of crayons. So awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll give him a call. We'll give Lance Corporal Max a call out there.
Great project of the week, and each and every week we're grateful that you bring these stories in. Thanks, Devin.
And thank you to Habitat for Humanity International for being such a great partner.
They're fantastic. For those who don't know, Habitat has Veterans Build affiliates all over the country. There's about 175 of their affiliates are Veterans Build affiliates that do similar work to what Purple Heart Homes does, and we've collaborated on many, many projects with them, so that's fantastic. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get back to Donnie and hear a little bit more about the story he was telling us about. I think it was such an interesting point, and again, I'm sorry I had to cut you off there a little mid-sentence with our break, but you were telling us about the experience and some of the, in my own words, kind of the common work and common things or routine work that you were doing as a soldier and a senior enlisted in Iraq, and then what it was like in that transition and some of the experiences coming home. And so if you would pick that back up.
A couple of things I'd like to touch on was early on while we were there for our 14-month deployment, you would see the people who were listed as going on convoys. You would see them the day before cleaning out their CHU container housing unit, which is where we lived in. You would see them standing in the laundry line because they knew they were going out on convoy and they wanted to make sure their area was squared away in case something happened and they didn't make it back. That was very sobering for me to watch my soldiers line up and to be knowing that, outside the wire is a different world. But the adrenaline is a huge factor. Getting a chance to go serve your country is a big factor. However, after the sun goes down, you can't just get in your car and drive home. For me personally, when I deployed, 2 days after I landed in Kuwait before we went north to Iraq, my wife's mother dies. And her being the only child, I could not be in Iraq and leave her there to take care of all the arrangements and details. And so she told me, no, you just got there, stay. And I said, no, I'm coming home. So I took 10 days of emergency leave and came home to be with her, kind of work through that issue, went back, joined my soldiers. And then a little over a year later, when we landed at Fort Bragg coming home, 2 days after we landed, my wife's father dies.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, I don't know who had the worst deployment. And in the meantime, our daughter, she turns 13. She's a great kid. But at 13, there's something changes in kids. And so it was like, if I felt threatened, I had 210 rounds. If I felt threatened, I could return fire at will. My wife, who was the sole engineer unit for the house and taking care of our daughter, working a day job, lost both her parents in a matter of a year's time.
Mm-hmm.
So the stress of what the family goes through is hugely overlooked by a lot of people. Yes, in a combat environment, you know the rules of engagement. You know you're in a dangerous situation, but there are times when the family back home is suffering just as much because things that happen. So I wanted to just share that in my case and in my personal story, my wife did an outstanding job of maintaining that, working through that, and supporting me while I was deployed. So that was a huge thing. And after you come back, there's a lot of folks who don't realize when you go home, it's not you get up, go eat breakfast, go do PT, or you get ready to go on convoys. There's now a void in that, and there's something missing.
Mm-hmm.
And for 12 to 14 months every day, you're strapping on a pistol, you're strapping on an M4 or an M16, and everywhere you go to the porta-john, wherever you go, that's with you. And now all of a sudden, you're not carrying that, and now you feel like you've left something behind. And so that was a large part of reintegrating back home. I live in our house is 2-story. I'm in the kitchen sitting at the bar, and my wife drops an empty cardboard box off the balcony in the other room, and immediately I'm headed for up under the table. And she's like, "What? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just a little bit, sensitive. Please tell me when you're going to do stuff like that." So that impacts a lot of people differently. There were quite a few times. I think we hit a total of 57 IEDs in our battalion. We captured 27 insurgent. We filled way over 800, 900 craters where IEDs had gone off, and we cleaned them out, filled them with concrete, and we captured the 27 insurgents. So we spent a lot of time outside the wire. And the one thing I'm most thankful of, that we did not lose a single soldier.
Mm.
Everybody we took, we brought home. So that was a critical part of making sure, as a first sergeant, we did our training correctly. We did our pre-operational convoy checklist. Everybody knew what to do in case of something happening. And on March the 6th of 2006, I'm in a Humvee behind the driver on the left side, right behind an M1 tank, and we've been out doing a recon on oil lines that had been getting blown up. So our mission was going to be to go cover them deeper with sand and dirt so they couldn't get to them. It was right at dusk, and there was a sign on the left-hand side of the road, and then there was a smaller sign before we got to it. What we didn't know, that was the aiming marks for when the Humvee got in that they would remotely control, set off the blast. So there were 2 5.55 rounds that put a hole of about waist deep, about 6 foot, 2 arms wide. The Humvee almost turned over, and it's like you're not prepared for a IED here sign. All of a sudden there was a clap, and first thing I thought was, okay, I still have my feet, I still have my arms, still have my head, everything's intact. But that is an extremely stressful environment to live in day after day.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back home, reintegrating back into society, a lot of my soldiers still to this day have flashbacks, have
Sure.
that. You can see that in their eye. that they are living somewhere differently when certain sounds are made. And it's just extremely important that people like Purple Heart Homes does a great job in supporting the families and also these heroes who fights America's battles. And part of that, I've been very blessed to be an auxiliary member with the Marine Corps League. And those folks have kind of let me share in how we take care of Americans as heroes. And part of that opportunity is through Camp Centurion.
Donnie, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought because we're getting ready to go to a break, and I don't want to interrupt you in the middle of it. One of the thoughts that I want to share with our listeners that was triggered while I was listening to you there is Tim O'Brien's book, The Things They Carry. And it's a phenomenal book. It talks just about what you were talking about, the M16, the memories, the pictures, all the different things and what you carry before you went to service, what you carried while you were in combat, and the things that you carry when you come home. Great book there. You are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from Representative Loftus about Camp Centurion and the work that he's doing in the North Carolina legislature now to support veterans and our military. So be sure to stay tuned in. We'll be right back after this short break.
Take your favorite WSIC shows with you anytime by going to WSIC News wherever you get your podcasts.
Now you are.
All right, so apparently somebody thought you sounded like Sean Hannity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're calling in.
Sounds just like him. He's got a southern accent. So yeah. Just like
Donnie, that was absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Donnie.
We'll step straight back in Camp Centurion and the work that you're doing in the legislature and anything you would like to share, as we go through that. One of Brad's notes here I think is important, and I'll just kind of put this out to you now. One of the goals of Putting the Pieces Back Together is to create a platform for veterans and civilians to connect, right? And so a question that if you might want to touch on is, how do you believe the civilian community can provide better support to veterans? And what are some ways in which the veterans can actively engage in the civilian community? So we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Jeanette Watkins wanted to know how do fireworks affect veterans.
Awesome.
Not great in some cases.
Well, I think of Doug that we moved from Florida to
yeah, he had to move because
Alabama.
The guy next door, he moved to Georgia.
Yeah. The neighbor knew that he didn't like the fireworks, so they just kept shooting them off
every day.
Really?
At like midnight. Just because just to be
tormenting.
Yeah, just to torment him.
No kidding.
That's why he moved. It was the whole reason.
That's terrible.
He could not get them to stop.
And there's not a better human being out there.
He's a good guy
than Doug.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the world of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what. I'm just dumbfounded.
You just have to be mean. You just have to be mean to do
because
that.
the amount of just evil that takes
you
just
have to be
torment
mean,
a human being that know wouldn't serve their country.
Terrible
like that, man. Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
I'm very rarely without words, so I'm just wow. That kind of infuriates me.
What? What? You without words? No way. So looks like we're up to we're up to 8 listeners on Facebook, which is
So
and like 3 of them are me, you, and John.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So that leaves 5. One of them is Dawn. Hey, Dawn Clark, how are you? Dawn is doing an amazing job.
She is
in our donor relations department. She's a genius. She's super smart.
I'm glad I can help drive the ratings up.
That's right.
It ain't your fault, Donnie. Ain't your fault.
Well, they're listening on the radio, so when we say we only have that many listeners, it's on our Facebook.
10 seconds. Detail with professionalism and compassion. We're Lynn Honeycutt Funeral Home. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together here on WSIC. And this show is presented by Purple Heart Homes. You can find out more about us at phhusa.org. That's phhusa.org. And we are joined by Representative Donnie Loftus, longtime Army veteran, North Carolina National Guard combat veteran, and now serving the constituents of Gaston County and my mama's people down in Belmont, all the Gastons that live down there. And so thank you for being here today, sir. We really appreciate it, and it's been an awesome show so far, so thank you.
Yeah, before the break, you were about to share a little bit about Camp Centurion, and so why don't you tell our listeners about Camp Centurion?
Camp Centurion was developed by 3 Marines drinking a cup of coffee and talking about how they could help and impact the homeless veteran situation in Gaston County. And those individuals found a way to secure a home that needed to be refurbished, and they had been working feverishly on this, piecemealing funding together, and they really wanted to move forward, but didn't have a lot of assets financially to do that. So last year, Bud Stroop, or Strap as he calls himself, contacted me about the opportunity for helping in that situation. So I asked him, I contacted him back and said, well, Bud, how much money do you need to finish your project? And so he told me. And so I never told him I would put a request in. I wanted to surprise him. And so I submitted a member's request that I could document this was a viable, functioning 501c3 that was impacting veterans. And lo and behold, that was funded through the budget to impact veterans. And it became part of a bigger picture that we were working on in Gaston County with the Veterans Drug Treatment Court with District Attorney Travis Page and Gus Anthony, a Navy veteran who had been working with Catawba County in developing a drug treatment court for Gaston County veterans. And there's only 7 in the state, which is kind of surprising. But we wanted an opportunity to impact veterans through the Justice Center. And this goes back further. My previous career of being a county commissioner, I was the national chairman for the United States in how counties take care of veterans. And there were 5 opportunities, and one was you got to have a place to live, a place to hang your head, take a shower, get some sleep, to go back into a job environment. And 2 was how do you change your military skills over to civilian skills? And 3, it goes down the list of how we impact those veterans locally. And so this was a part, drug treatment court. It used to be by law, when you were arrested as a veteran, your benefits stopped, whether you were adjudicated innocent or whatever. And so we got the law changed, the federal law that says that veteran may need drug treatment or alcohol treatment or anger management treatment while they're incarcerated before their cases get adjudicated. So all of this had built up over the years of helping veterans in Gaston County. And so Bud was contacted by the state folks who said, we have a check for $50,000 for you. And so Bud called me, and Bud was crying, and he said, if I was near you, I would hug your neck and kiss you on the cheek. And I said, I am so glad we're on the phone.
That's right.
Bud was a Marine too. So Bud had these crayon issues that several of us know about.
Thank you very much.
So
that's awesome.
That was so rewarding to be able to help them. And it wasn't too long ago that Purple Heart Homes stepped up and really did an outstanding job on redoing the inside of this house, redoing the outside. You guys were amazing when we did the dedication there. It was first class, high quality work. And now they had the opening also of the drug treatment court, and its first case has been already started. So that is well underway to address treatment needs for veterans who fall into that. I don't have anything really to do now that I'm in a civilian world, so I end up being homeless or end up going into opioids or whatever addictions. And now Gaston County has a place that we can actually treat America's heroes to get them back integrated into society.
That's
so
awesome.
That's been a huge huge part
Yeah,
of
so
what I'm doing now.
yeah, next week here in Iredell County, we have Justice for Vets from the Justice Department is coming here, and we're doing our training for our Veterans Treatment Court that's going to be starting in the next 90 days. And our DA, Sarah Kirkman, has just been really awesome in helping get that thing going. We've got the court coordinator hired. And we've got a cast of veteran mentors that are going to be involved with that. And so more to follow on that because that's getting ready to happen, and we're really excited about it. And so thanks for your work and helping Bud and the rest of the team down there. In fact, Joel Dalton, who worked with me at Purple Heart Homes, he's one of the board members for Camp Centurion. And so we're really excited to be in a collaborative effort with you guys. So
let me just add in there too. Thank you for the work that you do across the state, providing support and funding through the state budget, and certainly the work you're doing through the Veteran and Military Affairs Committee to make sure that there's some awareness in the legislature of the programs that are out there supporting veterans, and how all of those representatives that are a part of that committee are working to honor the veterans and really put North Carolina in the forefront as a state that is the most veteran-friendly state in the country. And so, thank you for that work and support.
You guys did a great job with the $1 million through the state funding to impact veterans across the state. You guys did a wonderful job in touching across the state many people that needed different areas of help in their lives, whether it was ramps, whether it was remodels, anything like that. And so as part of my job now, last year in 21-22, we passed where all the veterans with 20 years of service, their pension is now tax-free from the state of North Carolina.
That's
a
fantastic.
huge deal for a lot of veterans.
Amen.
So that's awesome. We're working on more of those type of bills. I filed a bill to make all the enlisted pay in North Carolina for active duty, reserve, and National Guard tax-free. But, sometimes it takes 1 or 2 or 3 years to kind of get that through the cycle. So that's something else I'm committed to of helping America's heroes.
Well, we're praying that property tax bill for 100% service-connected disabled veterans gets passed through soon. I've been tracking along with that.
Yeah, amen.
That'd be fantastic. And Donnie, I know we got one more question here for you as we start to wind down. We got about 3.5 minutes left. But in the process, what are some of your final thoughts or message that you'd like to share with our listeners, particularly those who may be veterans themselves or have veterans in their lives?
I think one of the biggest things that impact veterans now is having people who understand the sacrifice that are made by not only military service members, but by their families. Having people appreciate the less than 1% who step forward to serve, who put their life on the line for this great country. So I would think, one, the appreciation of the sacrifice. 2, understanding a little bit more about how we got to be a free nation. We just celebrated July 4th. And the stress that's got us to where we are, how we are a great country. We should be appreciative of the freedom we have. So I think that's important. The other thing was, you hear a lot about when you see a veteran, just think a veteran because they always wear the hat on top that says Vietnam, Korea, or whatever. That's a great opportunity. Veterans always like to hear that. And sometimes if you see veterans struggling, it's okay to give them a hug. Mm-hmm. That goes a long way to say, thank you for your service. May I give you a hug?
Yeah, amen.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that is great advice. We really appreciate it. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for being on the show today. We're really, really grateful. Thanks for your stories, and thanks for your service to our country, but also your service to our state and representing the fine people of Gaston County. Next week, I'm really excited about our guest next week. Chaplain. This is our first chaplain guest.
All right.
Chaplain.
Wait a minute. So the chaplain assistant that's now a full bird, he doesn't count?
No, there's no chaplain assistant that's now a full bird.
What's the guy's name we had on here about a year
Sergeant
ago?
Major.
Oh, Sergeant Major. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he would die if he thought that he had become an officer.
Wow. Oh, I just know he had been in a long time, and
he's been in forever, man. Yeah. But chaplain.
So this is the first chaplain we've had.
We got it.
Does Army not have the same rank structure?
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
John forgets about officer enlisted divides. Well, he's been out a long time. So, but chaplain, lieutenant colonel, promotable because he's going to promote to 06 in the next 2 weeks. Emmett Ferner, who I served with in the special operations community, he's getting ready. He's a big time guy.
Yeah.
He's big. I mean, he's important. He's an important guy, and I can't wait to have him on the show because I'm going to rib him.
So
the
can we
entire
call
time.
him the old man?
Or
Will he be promoted by then?
Yeah, and guess what? He was a Marine before he joined the Army.
No kidding.
He was a crayon eater.
Oh wow!
So you'll enjoy that. It's going to be a fantastic
just think, Devin. Crayon eaters can grow up to be old men.
Yeah, this is true.
That's all right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You had a crayon eating chaplain in Iraq. That's awesome. So, but listen, we are really, really excited that you guys tuned in on our new time slot of 3 o'clock. Don't forget to set your watches and your clocks and whatever it is you do. 3 o'clock every Thursday. We'll be here, not Sean Hannity, but it will be Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. Find out more about us at phhusa.org, and we'll see you next week.
The new.
All right, Donnie, thank you so much. Great show. We'll be putting the link on our Facebook page, and I have texted you the link, the direct link to the right Facebook page. And for Purple Heart Homes, we've had so many chapters and so many different ones come up. So I know it's sometimes hard to find, but just so thankful for you. Thanks for your service, and just really, really proud to know you and proud that you're representing us.
Anytime.
Hey,
well, anytime I can help, just use me as a resource.
Hey, Donnie, do you know the McRae's out at the McRae boot factory? Do you know them?
No, I do
McRae
not.
Shoes, yeah, they're all Gaston County people. My cousin Kathy married into that family, and they make a bunch of Army boots. So I don't think their factory is in Gaston County, but they're headquartered.
Donnie, just think about it like this: if there's somebody in your district that you know, Brad's probably related to him. Just ask him. Do you know Brad?
Nah, probably.
Brad, are you from West Virginia?
No, no, I'm not. I've been through there a couple times. I got arrested in Huntington one time.
Oh, God. So, do you know why there's so many West Virginia people in Gaston County?
Because it's a half a tank of gas.
The story is one tank of fuel.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, Statesville's a half. Yeah, about the same here.
All right, we're gonna get out the way so the next show can get in here. But
what's the next
thank
show?
you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thanks for the short notice and you joining us.
Yeah, thanks,
please give your bride our best. Talk to you soon.
What's the next show?
He's right there. Thank you, guys.
What's the next show, Joe?